James and Ferb lay outside of the wall of Hub 42, under the stars and waiting for the hub to celebrate the new year in spectacular fashion. A new year, new decade, new century. With these people, this would be really unique. Hub 42 was formerly a huge trading hub built on one of the shelters made by HM Survival Corp. But in time, it was transformed into something different by a group of people with great scientific applications. The transformation was made by two people who had all of their technology put together and a few extra somethings that fell from the sky. And sadly, they became alien worshippers. They believe that aliens exist and they try to make things to make contact with other life. They were getting nowhere as the strange alien tech they possess was put towards weaponry. They have chunky alien-made firearms, and they claim to have a satellite from outer space. You would have to see it to believe it. James wondered on a daily basis if he could ever leave this pointless cult and explore what was left of the world. Hub 42 was a big area, but everyone was completely nuts. People fell for this alien stuff as well, and were trapped here as consequence. That's how Hub 42 managed to expand. James was one of the few who was allowed to leave for supply runs, but required the Galaxy Mother's blessing to do so. If he ever failed to return by dark, or not at all, then he would be refused future entry. James was trusted amongst the hubologists, and he was always on time. He was trusted by nearby settlements too. He would arrive to trade items and fix any technologies. Since James's settlement was based around alien tech, it was basically a given for him to study it. James kept things happy between settlements and Hub 42, or at least as happy as he could make it. James and Ferb made their way back inside of Hub 42 as it was getting dark. As they got to the entrance, a woman ran up behind them, calling for help. The guards aimed their weapons as she halted. James and Ferb stopped at the door and turned around. The woman said the raiders from King's Chase were attacking the settlement in full force. The woman was one of many who did not know about the raider attack. However, there was a group of that settlement who did know and let the raiders in. The woman begged for help, or at least to let the survivors into Hub 42. The guards explained how they just couldn't let anybody into Hub 42 or let anybody out, and how the Galaxy Mother wouldn't just take in new outsiders. The woman screamed in frustration, which caused the other people in the distance to run over. These were the remaining settlers who survived the attack. The guards once again took aim and nearly shot them, but their hesitance paid off. The Galaxy Mother came to the entrance with her two personal guards, demanding to know what was going on. But before anyone could explain, another group of people were charging towards Hub 42, from the same place the survivors were. The Galaxy Mother almost denied the entry of the survivors, but Ferb argued with her. If anybody could swear in an argument, it was Ferb. They were mother and son. As the survivors stumbled in, slowly but surely, guards marched outside with their blasters ready. The settlers had never seen anything like this. They were a form of laser-assisted energy weapons, with batteries as the magazines. These battery magazines could hold between 20 and 45 charges, and required up to 9 hours to fully recharge. They were activated, and hummed quietly. They glowed in bright colours, and all of that accelerated when they fired upon the raiders. A glorious light show was on display, and was somewhat fitting for the New Year's celebration. Well, visually, that is. Time went by, and everything settled. The clocks ticked over to the new year. Instead of celebration, there was commotion. The raiders were stripped of their gear, and the survivors were allowed inside. One of these raiders was wearing a piece of armor with Hell written on the back in bold red text. These were not raiders. This was a detachment of the demonic army. They originate in a city called Hell, but came from a nearby settlement called King's Chase. The guards looked to the Galaxy Mother, who in turn looked at James and Ferb.